first met. So I was racking my brains for that story, May 2nd, 1979, and unfortunately I can't remember a thing. You know, we didn't have a way of backing up our minds back then. I'm going to get to that, so remember that. And my memory of the 70s is a little hazy anyway. So it just, or maybe it's just that he didn't make a good first impression. I mean, nobody really usually says that about Ray Kurzweil, but I can't remember our initial meeting. And so I think there was a lesson in there about the singularity when I first came out, but again, all this is a little hazy. So I thought I'd move on to my next plan for this introduction, and I thought I'd tell you a little bit about what I've learned from my father, from Ray Kurzweil, growing up. And I've narrowed it down into sort of three basic lessons that have helped me in my career and helped me in my life as a result of my dad's orientation to the world. And the first, and those of you that know him will resonate with this right away, is that he's an eternal optimist. And related to that, he just does not take no for an answer on anything. And I remember car rides, hearing about the latest invention that sounded crazy, and then sounded crazy 2 years later, and then sounded crazy 2 years after that, and then eventually he'd make it work and saying to me, this is going to happen, this is the way the world's going to happen, and he just would not take no for an answer and would push through. And in the process, he's predicted lots of things that when he made these predictions, it sounded crazy at the time. He's talked about, and a lot of folks have thought that computers would never read books, would never recognize the spoken word, would never be able to play chess and beat anyone, let alone the world chess champion at the game. We'd never be able to answer questions on Jeopardy. We'd never be able to control our bodies. We'd never be able to read our thoughts and memories. Maybe then I'd have some memories of my birth a little better that I could have shared with you. And no one thinks that, lots of people are skeptical that technology will have the potential eventually to keep us healthy from within. And these are all things he's predicted, many of which have already played out, and the rest of which I have no doubt we're well on our way to seeing in the near future ahead. So that's sort of the first lesson that I've taken from him. And the second is that the world is changing faster than you think. I think one of the things that my father's recognized early on in his career, and that's enabled him to apply his orientation towards inventing and towards technology, is to realize that most people think in linear terms and that the world is actually moving a lot faster than that. And that really the technology that we use today, the technology that we're building today, creates the tools that we're going to build future technology on. It's a very powerful concept, but not very intuitive to many people. And I think perhaps better than anyone else, he's articulated that. And for me personally, as a venture capitalist, that's been profoundly important in thinking through what's the particular importance of a particular invention, what's coming, what are the enabling technologies that will come in the future, and using that as a context for being able to evaluate technological progress has been incredibly profound in thinking about where we're headed in the future. And then the third thing that I'll ascribe to my father, and that has helped me, is that geeks like the people in this room here, or this nice outdoor patio here, are going to rule the world. And not only that, they're going to make the world a better place in the process of doing that. And growing up in New England, as I did, I wasn't sure of that except for what my father was saying. I thought, I don't know, maybe doctors rule the world, maybe lawyers rule the world, accountants, maybe, I don't know. But this was something that the power of technology, that he always believed, the power of technology will make the world a better place. And whenever he hears, and whenever I hear people criticize technology as being a divide between people that have and have not, he's always pointed out that eventually technology improves the human condition for everyone. And that he's been part of making that a reality, but also in helping us evolve to the point where everyone accepts that to be unquestionably true, that technology is a good thing and is forwarding the human condition and giving us progress. And I think that's unquestionably the case, and it's something that he's taught. So that leads me to the one thing maybe I'll take some credit for, if I could, while I have your attention. I moved back out here in 2008 to join Bessemer Venture Partners, as many of you know. And a lot of people think my father joining Google was about the tremendous opportunity at Google and all of that. And, okay, maybe that's, a small unrelated factor. But he just saw how much fun I was having out here and said, well, you know what? I've taught him some things. Maybe this is him talking. I've taught my son some things. Maybe I'll learn from him and come out here where all the fun is and be able to take advantage of some of that myself. And so he recently, as a lot of you know, joined Google as their director of engineering, in order to be out here in Silicon Valley with his son. And he's applying his lifelong work in pattern recognition and artificial intelligence to Google's mission, which is, as you know, to organize all the world's information. And for me, I have no doubt that over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see search become a lot more human-like in its uses and applications as a result of his work. And so I'm really looking forward to that future, and I think it's really only fitting and an honor for me to introduce the person in my life that's made me aware that that potential is coming, and that's my father, Ray Kurzweil. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Ethan. It's funny, though. I remember that meeting very well, and they say that newborns can't smile, but I could swear that you looked around and said, wow, this is so cool. And you've always had a very optimistic orientation. I feel that optimism is not an idle speculation about the future. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's one of the meanings of the metaphor of Silicon Valley. I travel around the world, and everybody keeps telling me, oh, our neighborhood is the Silicon Valley of Dublin, and the Silicon Valley of Israel, the Silicon Valley of Shanghai. And it has become a metaphor. This is the Silicon Valley of the world. It's a very powerful idea, and it's a special honor, therefore, for me to get this recognition here. Let me reminisce just a bit. I started my first major company in 1974. One report said that the total amount of high-tech venture capital deals in 1974 in the United States was $10 million. There's a bit of a problem with that figure in that nobody actually understood what venture capital was. Like, venture capital, what's that? And it was not a well-known concept. But there really wasn't much money to go around. And that was an era where you actually needed money. I remember we wanted to buy a computer for $100,000. That's when $100,000 was a lot of money. This computer is about 10,000 times less powerful than your cell phone today, but it was important to us. And I mean, $100,000, that's 1% of all the high-tech venture capital deals in the United States that year. Today, you really don't absolutely need money. Maybe when you've actually proven your idea and you want to bring it to a world market, venture capital will be important, but you can get your idea off the ground with the tools you have in your pocket. And not too long ago, a couple of kids in a dorm had this idea. Well, actually, it was a bit of bravado. We can reverse the direction of every link on the web with our notebook computer. With your notebook computer, you're going to reverse every link on the web? Yeah, we can do it. And they did it, and they created a search engine based on that idea, and it became very popular on the floor of their dorm at Stanford. It spread from there. We now have 1 billion users, and I work for them now. It's actually my first job. I thought I'd squeeze in a real job before I turned 65. But that's really the power of an idea. They did it with actually no money at all. Facebook was started with $19,000 and a few notebook computers. You have kids today. There's a 14-year-old who recently won the Intel Science Talent Search, who created an effective early test, non-invasive test for pancreatic cancer, which could actually revolutionize that disease. A kid in Africa with a smartphone has the tools to revolutionize the world. And there's three meanings to me of this, what has really become a metaphor of Silicon Valley. One is the power of an idea. And that's actually an idea that I learned from my parents.